Hey, welcome back to the channel, guys. It's me, Mike. In today's video, I'm going to give you some pointers that may help you with some of your geckos that are very picky when it comes to eating. They either have poor appetites or they're just not eating at all. And there's so many different reasons why that this may be the case with your specific gecko. However, though, the easiest way to really figure them out is to kind of go through different steps to try to single out what the culprit might be as to why your gecko may not have the greatest appetite. And I will say, to this day, I still sometimes encounter these issues myself. I don't know whether or not maybe it's just specific animals that I have that just happen to be very picky, but generally I encounter this issue more with my crested geckos, my gargoyle geckos, and golden geckos. I'm going to give you guys 4 potential reasons as to why your gecko may not be eating. You can take that information and try it out for yourself to try to see if that might be the reason. But at the same time, I will say I am no expert. These are just some tips that I had gathered from other people that have had experience with the same issues. And these tips have helped me out before and helped me get some of my pickier eaters to stop being such pains when it comes to food. And hopefully maybe this will also help you as well. So the first thing you gotta check is their environment. When you get a new gecko, you gotta give it some time to acclimate to its new environment. Even after full acclimation, your gecko might be struggling a little bit with trying to feel secure enough to eat. Security has to do with the environment that they are in, and it has to do with a lot of the husbandry aspects. So you have to go over and check out their cages. Do they have enough places to hide? Do they have enough coverage? Is there too much stuff in there? Is the enclosure big enough? All these aspects are potential reasons as to why the gecko may not be eating. Another aspect that has to do with the environment is the room that you're keeping them in. And that has to do with like temperature. Does that room get like too hot? Does it get too cold? Is there enough lighting in the room? Is there too much lighting in the room? These are all, like I said before, these are all potential reasons why the gecko may not be eating. So you might have to move the gecko to a different room. The first thing I will say, surprisingly, having to do with this specific topic, is that I had geckos before where I had them on like the top shelf of like one of these shelving units, and then I moved them down to a lower shelf because I have a tendency of like, you know, moving stuff around a lot. I don't know, it's kind of an OCD thing that I do. But then when I moved them to a different shelf, they stopped eating. So when I moved them back to the top shelf again, then they went back to being their normal selves. Sometimes being in one corner of the room may be too stressful for them for some reason, and if you move them to another room, it might actually stimulate them to start eating. So there's a couple things that you could try out is by moving them around, adding or removing decor. Any little tiny tidbits like that surprisingly can affect the appetite of a gecko. Number 2, husbandry. Is the humidity right? Is the temperature right? Those are things that frequently are the main culprits as to why you can't get a gecko to properly eat. So go back over your husbandry, double check yourself. You should be doing that frequently anyway. It's to help make yourself better. See if for whatever reason the husbandry aspect is what's causing your gecko not to eat. One of the third reasons why the gecko might not be eating is depending on what you're feeding it. Sometimes geckos can be so picky about what they eat, and sometimes you will not be able to break them of that habit. And a lot of different reasons why they may be so picky is, like, for instance, one, if you're getting an animal that generally is a wild caught animal, not that I suggest that you buy anything wild caught, but in most cases, if you want a off the wall gecko that isn't bred in captivity often, you're most likely going to be acquiring a wild caught one. Sometimes wild caught animals are going to be very difficult because they have a hard time acclimating. You're taking them from a place that they have grown up in environmentally, that's what they're used to, and that includes what they feed on, the temperatures, barometric pressure. Like, there's so many different like little aspects to that could affect it. Honestly, in most cases, the pickiest eaters, I would have to say, are most geckos that eat crested gecko diets. Some of them like will have phenomenal appetites. Like, I will say, like, crested geckos when they're younger seem to have a much better appetite than they do when they get older, and I think that has to do with maybe their metabolism slowing down. They're not growing really anymore, so they don't eat as often, or they eat less. But as long as your gecko seems to be maintaining weight, then you won't have to worry too much. Sometimes people just worry way too much. Reptiles are definitely not great pets for people that worry 24/7. because they do odd, weird things sometimes that you may not understand, and then you're going to assume that there's something wrong with the animal, and 90% of the time that's not the case. But sometimes you just gotta sit there and rotate through different crested gecko diets, or you gotta try different feeders. If your gecko, for instance, will only strictly eat crickets and it's an insectivore, it will get by. And the fourth and final reason that your gecko may not be eating is it healthy. The best thing to do whenever you get a new animal to begin with is to give it 2 weeks to at least to acclimate. If it's not eating by then you should definitely take it to the vet and get it checked out, bring a fecal sample. Parasites and other illnesses will heavily affect the appetite of a gecko. So guys, if you take any of this information and it helps you out in any way, let me know down in the comments. And other than that, can you please subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell, and I guess I'll see you guys the next time. That's pretty much all I have for today. Let me know if you guys liked the new intro. I'm using a new video editing software instead of Adobe Premiere. Adobe Premiere is phenomenal. It's probably one of the best ones I've ever used. However, my computer doesn't do very well running it, and I wanted to kind of use something that I can edit videos a lot quicker. So I kind of went with Filmora, and I made some pretty cool stuff with it so far, just experimenting. And actually this video, I actually edited it with it, including the new intro. So hopefully you guys like it. And again, thank you so much for watching my videos. I really appreciate you guys. I'll see you next time. See ya.